Hi, I'm Amy, and this is A-Star Reads, and it's time for my March Readathons TBR. So there are quite a few, and as much as I wanted to get away with not doing any readathons during my school period, I decided to do a few in March. Luckily, I was able to make them mostly work with the books I'm planning on reading in March. It's not like I'm adding too many books to my TBR that I've already planned out. So that's a good thing. I have my little organizer that I've been working on, just trying to get, I don't really like my TBR list, so don't look at that because I'm not happy with that. But my little readathon list that I've gotten started, I'm excited about this. Like I had said in one of my other videos, I'm trying out this pre-made planner to see how much I like the different spreads in this, see what exactly I like using, and see what I want to use in the future when I start my own bullet journal. So I'm going to be using this as a reference for my readathons. I'm doing 5 readathons in the month of March. It's a lot. So the first one I'll talk about is the one that I think comes up first in the month. That's the Orilium Magical Readathon, which is the Gear Up mini readathon that is going to get us prepared for going to school and becoming these magical characters that we're working towards becoming. So I have been sorted into the Archivists Guild, which is a very special guild because I actually create a pact with one of the gods. And so the god that I'm going to be creating a pact with is Velinus, which is the god of death and rebirth. And this will amplify my necromancy skills as well as any herbology that I do. Anybody who is experienced in this can communicate with the dead, and the temples for my god are located in underground caves that are covered in vines. And so the prompt for having my legacy of being the god of Velinus is to read a book that has high stakes. And that works out great because I'm going to be reading The Neverending Story by Michael Ende, and this book has very high stakes. If Bastian and Atreyu don't actually make it to the princess, the whole world of Fantastica is going to end. It's going to completely end, and we don't want that to happen. Oh, and I forgot to mention that I will be reading this and the other book during the week of the 14th through the 20th, which is when the readathon is actually occurring. Deciding on my legacy, it helped me to figure out what conduit I wanted to use to help make my magic work. Like a conduit is what you use to help with your magic. And I decided to go with a bone because I thought that was appropriate for the Velinus, god of death and rebirth. And so for the bone conduit, the book that you need to read is simply read a book with a bone, like a bone on the cover or something like that. So I actually decided to go with Split Infinity because I'm going to be reading this anyways, and I can read it that week, or at least try and start reading it that week. And this has a unicorn horn on this. I know that if I'm thinking about a narwhal, which is an actual real life unicorn, their horn is made from a tooth. It's actually a tooth. So that is a bone, and I'm going to consider this a bone. Also, like in the old days when alchemy was a thing, 14, 15, whatever hundreds, that alchemy was a thing. When the alchemists said they used unicorn bone, which, you know, obviously, just so you know, unicorns aren't real. But when they used unicorn bone, it was from something like a narwhal or from some other bone of an animal that was like not a unicorn but would take the place of. So that's why I figured this would work for bone on the cover. So the Orilium Readathon is being hosted by G from Book Roast. So if you would like to know anything more about this, it's a very involved, in-depth readathon. So I'm going to link all the information down below and go check it out because it's really cool, but there are a lot of steps to it. So you can always catch up. You should be able to catch up if you haven't started, if you didn't do the first part where you actually pick your character and all that. But I would go do that sooner rather than later because I'm not sure, she's not even sure yet when we're going to have our first term of school. But if that comes up in April, then it'll help to have all your characters set up before then. So the next week-long readathon that I'm going to be participating in is the Spring-Into-Readingathon, and that is hosted by Mel from Completely Melanie, Kaylani from Kaylani Simply Me, and Clint from Reads Readers. And this is the seasonathon that they do pretty much every season, and it's always fun. I always have a good time, and there's such a wide variety of prompts on this one that it's usually something I can make work with my TBR. So that's going to be happening from March 20th through 27th, and that is actually the week that I'll be working on my own secret TBR. And so the books that I'm including in this work because I'm already planning or hoping to read these books during that week. I'm not going to really explain this much because I don't want to give too much away for my secret, but you probably will guess, and that's okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the bingo board up here. I'm planning on fulfilling 5 spaces, 4 in each corner and the 1 in the center. So for the first top corner, it's a book that's collecting dust, and that is gonna be a book that's been on my TBR, my physical TBR, for a long time, and that's The Lost Continent by Bill Bryson. Bill Bryson is a nonfiction author who is very comedic in the way he writes. He's very satirical. He's satirical, like, blatantly. He's not shy about the fact that he's making fun of whatever he's making fun of. And this is Travels in Small Town America. I picked this up for like really cheap at either a library sale or one of the local thrift stores. And I have been wanting to read a little more of Bill Bryson because I've read 1 or 2 of his works, I think. I think I've read 2 of Bill Bryson's works. And so I really liked what I've read so far, and so I'm gonna be trying to get to this one because I would like to get to the books that are on my physical TBR. Next, I'm gonna go with Easy Book, and that is Are You Listening by Tilly Walden. And this is an easy book because it's a graphic novel. So this is about a girl named Bee, and she's on the run, and she meets this guy named Lou, and it's about their journey. So I'm hoping to get to this one. We'll see if the library gets it in time. Otherwise, I might have to pick something else. But I have a lot of books that I'm gonna be reading this month that I think are gonna be easy, so this one should be pretty easy to change out if I need to. Next, in the center space, there is the group book, which is a TJ Klune book, and I would love to read it, but because my month is so crazy, I don't think I can add any other books to my TBR, so I'm actually gonna go with my buddy read, which is Ship of Destiny by Robin Hobb, and this one I'm buddy reading with my mom, Shell, Magda, and we have been buddy reading the whole Robin Hobb series. In the bottom corner, we've got a book that's under 250 pages, and this is gonna kind of give something away that I haven't had a chance to talk to you about. I'm going to be reading An Abundance of Catherines by John Green, and this is a spoiler for something. If you know, you know. If you don't, then just wait. The video will come out soon. I keep saying that, and it hasn't come out yet, has it? But Abundance of Catherines is a book that is under 250 pages, and I'm going to be reading it. Finally, in the last bottom corner, it's to drink your favorite iced beverage, which I figured this is easy, and during that week, I can drink my favorite iced beverage. I don't know what my favorite iced beverage is. I don't really like ice, so that that makes it kind of hard. Maybe I'll have an old fashioned that week because I love old fashions, especially the ones where they have the big chunk of ice in it. I hate when you go to places and they make it with like a whole bunch of little pieces of ice, because that's not how old fashions are supposed to be made. You're supposed to have a nice big chunk of ice in there, and that is probably the one time that I love ice in a drink. So I will link everything you need to know about Spring-Into-Readingathon down in the description box below, so check it out, come join us, it's gonna be a good time. And TJ Klune is the guest author, so you should read TJ Klune's books, especially the group book, but it's just so exciting. I'm excited for them that they got TJ Klune on their channel. It's thrilling. It's really, really exciting when you get an author that everybody really loves. All right, so then the next 3 readathons that I'm participating in March are all full month long readathons, which is good because, yeah, I need time to read these books. And so the first one is March Mystery Madness, and I really wasn't planning on participating in this. However, Di from Disis19 Hearts, in her announcement video, she said that you can read any mystery book for this month. You don't have to follow the theme. You can do whatever the heck you need to do. Somehow I forgot to mention what the actual theme of March Mystery Madness is, and it's just double because, you know, 2022, so there's 2 2s in that, so it's double of whatever, and you can interpret that however you want to. And as it turns out, I'm reading a gothic mystery in the month of March anyways. I'm going to be reading Marina by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, and this works out for double because there's 2 Z's in Carlos Ruiz Zafón's name, and I think that, you know, a Z is not a very common letter in a name anyway, so I thought that worked for double. And it's a YA gothic mystery, probably not a murder mystery, but it still is a mystery of sorts, and so I think that works. And then the other one I'm planning on reading in the month of March is No Exit by Taylor Adams, and this is a very famous, popular mystery, thriller mystery, I think, that I'm excited to read. I guess it's also double because I'm reading 2 books for March Mystery Madness, so there's my double as well, and I'm just gonna take it where I can. But if you'd like to know anything about this readathon and join in, there's still time. I will link Di's channel down below in her announcement video. I don't really know any of the other hosts. If you want to know more about them or their announcement videos, that will be in Di's announcement video. Next, there is the Middle Grade March being hosted by Krista from BooksAndJams, and this is an exciting one because I actually got the opportunity to give a book suggestion for her book suggestion video. So check that out. Check out Krista's channel. I'll link all the information for her down below. I think that there is another host, but I don't necessarily know all that much. So it'll all be in Krista's announcement video. As it turns out, 2 of the prompts can work with books I'm reading this month. So first, there is a prompt, a book that was written before you were born. And I was born in 1983, and The Never-Ending Story was born in 1979. And I would consider this a middle grade. Like, it's probably a middle grade that could, nowadays also be considered slightly YA. But in my opinion, this is a middle grade, and so I'm gonna be reading this. The other prompt is a book with an Asian main character. I think it's a book set in Asia or with an Asian main character. And for that, I'm gonna be reading Front Desk by Kelly Yang because our main character is Chinese and her family has immigrated from China. So this works out wonderfully. And these are 2 books that I will be reading for middle grade March. I don't think I will be able to get to the other prompts because I have so many books on my TBR, but if by chance I end up picking up more middle grade because I am still in my children's literature course, then I can try and fulfill those prompts as well. Finally, we've got the month-long readathon Roll of Reads by Mel from a book fiend named Mel. And this one I really wanted to participate in because Mel has a great TBR game that she does every month, and I love watching her rolls. I love watching what she ends up with, and I thought this would be so much fun because anytime you get to play gameplay with TBR games, to me, it's always fun. However, I knew that with my TBR, there was no way, and like I said, I was trying not to do readathons during school, so I didn't think I would be able to do this. But Kim from Expedition Through Pages contacted me and was like, hey, I'm not gonna be able to do Roll of Reads the traditional way either, so maybe we can come up with a compromise that will work for us. So then what Kim did is she actually did the Roll of Reads, and she ended up with 8 prompts, so we each picked a book for each prompt. So I had 8 books, Kim had 8 books. And then during reading sprints, we did try a chapter. So we tried the first chapter of these 8 books, and then we picked whatever books we thought we could actually accomplish in the month of March. So I ended up with 1 and Kim ended up with 2. And I will link it up here in the down description box below so you can see what the whole process was. I will also link Kim's rolls. In the end, it was hard because there were books that I ended up picking that I really want to read, but I was trying to stay true to the whole try a chapter thing and go with the chapter that was the most compelling and made me want to continue the book the most in that moment based off what I read in that first chapter. I ended up choosing Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro, and I'm excited about this one. I really liked the first chapter. It was intriguing enough to the point where I was like, but I want to know what the deal is here. They don't explain much in the first chapter except hints at things. And I'm like, well, what are they trying to get to? And so I just found this intriguing. It's also a small book, which was very appealing because I know that my March TBR is busy. And so I'm gonna go with this. And this was for the prompt favorite genre. And I don't really have a favorite genre. I'm more of a I love specific books, and if it's in a genre, then that's great. But I don't really just read certain genres, which may be frustrating, I can imagine, because if you're looking for specific genres, I kind of read everything. But I have been missing sci-fi a lot. I know that this is more speculative and dystopian sort of thing, not necessarily straight sci-fi, but I like that too. So I'm really excited about trying this out and reading something by Kazuo Ishiguro because I have never had the opportunity to yet. And I know that it's a little hit or miss, but I have a feeling I will enjoy it. Especially the writing in the beginning. I could tell that this is going to be a writing style that I will like. So we'll see, fingers crossed, but this is the book that I'm going to be reading for Mel's Roll of Reads. So that's it for the readathons that I'm actually participating in March. There are 2 others that I really, really wanted to get to, and they just kind of happened during the time that I'm going to be going through finals, and I couldn't see putting more books on my TBR, especially during that time. So I'm actually going to be probably doing them at different times. So for example, Squash That series, which is being hosted by Bailey from Is Bailey Reading and Kayla from Kayla Reads. Such an amazing way to get through your series. I love what they've done. They've had Ruby create a board game for this. I'm so upset that I can't do it because it looks like so much fun. However, I did say that I was going to try and do it in April. So I'm going to do my own little mini version of Squash That series in April, and I'll probably vlog it so that, I feel like I didn't miss out, but there's still time to join that readathon. So I'll link all the information down below, and I think it'll be fun because Bailey and Kayla Kayla are just so wonderful. They're sweet, they're kind, and you should be checking out their channels. So go check out their channels, go join them and squash that series. And then the other one was Koreadathon, which was one that I was really bummed I couldn't join in on because it was my very first readathon ever that I ever participated in, and I loved it so much. It was just an awesome experience. So I think I'm still gonna try and do like 24 and 48 hour readathon for Koreadathon at some point. Use the same prompts, but do that in the summer at some time when I have more time available, because I really loved the chance to actually read more from Korean authors. And that was like a very specific moment where I got to just focus on reading books from authors that I hadn't read from before. Also, I'm gonna post Paige's video of all the readathons because every month she tries to tell us what readathons are going on during that month, and she lists a lot. So I think she listed like 17 or 19 this past month. So if you want to know what readathons are happening in March, that's a great resource, so go check it out. And so let me know in the comment section down below what readathons you're participating in. Which ones were you able to work into your TBR? What is the one book that you are most excited to read for, and what is the prompt for it? So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see how my March goes with my readathons, even though I'm not supposed to be doing any readathons. I'm hoping it goes well. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you later.